If you were a professional athlete in Cincinnati, where would you live? Let's say you're Joe Burrow or Orlando Brown Jr. and you live in Cincinnati. Where would you live if you were playing for a professional sports team? Cincinnati is one of the biggest sports towns in the entire country. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals, FC Cincinnati Soccer, the Reds, the oldest baseball team in the country, even the Cyclones hockey team. But no matter what time of the year, there's always something happening here in Cincinnati. Now let's imagine for a second, if you were a professional athlete, if you're a 5-year-old kid, you're dreaming about becoming a professional athlete, where would you live in Cincinnati, Ohio? Which neighborhoods would be the best match for your lifestyle? In this video, we're gonna dive into the Cincinnati neighborhoods that might be the best fit for a professional athlete, maybe like yourself. And we've been fortunate enough to represent quite a few different athletes as they come into Cincinnati temporarily and even sell when they leave. So what do athletes even look for now? First big thing that comes to my mind is privacy and security. Obviously, many of them are pretty famous, right? When you're in the spotlight, the majority of the time, you want a place that gives you the peace and tranquility, the quiet, so there's not a bunch of people bugging you, right? These athletes live in the public eye, meaning they want places with gated entrances, private drives, sometimes even full security just to feel more comfortable. And of course, we're in Cincinnati, so there's not a lot of those out there. Privacy is a big consideration though. There's also location. Preferably they want to be close to the stadium and maybe their training facilities. Nobody wants to spend time in traffic when they have got to get to a game and focus and be committed to their craft. And you can't forget about amenities. These homes aren't just houses. They tend to be mini resorts with gyms, spas, saunas, indoor courts, golf simulators, pools. They're entertainment havens. In the end, it depends on the athlete's lifestyle. Some prefer the nightlife, while others just want peace and quiet, maybe even a balance of both. So the right neighborhood depends on a lot of their personality. And you might not be a professional athlete, but this is just a fun video to see what's out there, see what kind of options there are, what's going through their mind. And it gives you a glimpse into what might be out there in the different neighborhoods that you might be stumbling down the street. And maybe you'll see Sam Hubbard, maybe you'll see Joe Burrow, maybe you'll see one of the FC Cincinnati goalies, who knows? But let's start with downtown and Over-the-Rhine, because this is a target for younger athletes and anyone who wants to be in the middle of the action and really close to the stadiums. You've got the luxury high-rises, loft-style condos, penthouses with skyline views and even the river. You even have Paycor Stadium, Great American Ballpark, TQL Stadium, and so much more right there at your fingertips, so close, walking distance. That's why they love living downtown. They can literally walk to the stadiums. It makes it so easy. And OTR, which is part of downtown, is loaded with nightlife, bars, restaurants, breweries. If you want the high energy lifestyle, this is it. It's perfect for athletes who thrive on being in the thick of it all. Maybe not the hugely famous ones that can't go anywhere, although Joe Flacco was just caught out eating out by himself the other day, so that's always fun. But that's the place where many athletes gravitate to, maybe even the banks of downtown where you can walk 1 block and be at the stadium because they're in the thick of it all, they're close by, they don't have to worry about commute or anything else. They're just there at the stadium, focusing on what they do and being the best they can be at it. So I mentioned the banks. I actually used to live at the banks, in my previous life, obviously before kids and family and all that kind of good stuff. And when I was down at the banks, there was quite a few different professional athletes that lived on my floor. In fact, a funny little story, I actually had an experience where my dog ran into one of the Bengals linebackers' apartments, and this guy was massive. He was huge. He was living right across the hall from me, and I couldn't have been more nervous, but it was really funny. We had a lot of professional athletes that lived down there at the banks, so it was fun because you got to see them walking to the stadium. You had to chat with them over there, and by the way, they're very friendly. I got to give a shout out for being in the public eye. Most, if not all of them, are just really kind human beings and a lot of fun. That guy, I won't mention his name, was really friendly. Let me go in there, grab Nellie, pull her back out, but super fun. So downtown is a great place to live, makes it super easy and convenient for all these professional athletes to just be where they need to be, go to work really easily. All right, next up is right up the hill in Mount Adams. If you don't know what Mount Adams is, it's perched right up on the hill with incredible views of the city and the river. The vibe here is kind of artsy, stylish, and a little bit more laid back compared to downtown. A little quieter, but still has quite a bit of action, good restaurants and bars. You're still minutes from the stadium, might be a little bit extra of a walk or a drive, but you've got a bunch of extra privacy. Plus restaurants, bars, as I mentioned. It's a cozier, trendier setting. This is what the athlete who wants maybe the balance. They want to be close to it all with a quieter home base. Maybe a really cool view with lots of entertaining space overlooking the city. Mount Adams is definitely a spot to consider that's close. It really kind of blends both worlds of downtown and having a little bit more of a little quaint little city for yourself. Next up, we have Northern Kentucky. So Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky just really abut each other. We have the river that breaks up Ohio and Kentucky. So Northern Kentucky is very close. It can be a 5-minute drive, if even that, to the stadiums. When I mentioned the Bengals Stadium, the Red Stadium, US Bank Arena. It's really close. And because of that, it seems to be a haven for a lot of professional athletes. It's nestled up on the hills, so some people say the views of Cincinnati, the views coming back from Northern Kentucky, are actually the best views. You have just all of a sudden downtown that you're looking at, the CBD district. You have the river. You have the stadiums that you get to look back at. So those professional athletes actually get to look where they work on a day-to-day basis. And it's really common. We've actually sold a few recent professional athletes some places here in Northern Kentucky because we have some new developments over that way. And it's really neat because they tend to go with newer homes, view style homes, you know, those with really cool views of the river and downtown, as we mentioned, and the amenities, maybe sometimes a pool that has an infinity pool that kind of just drips over the edge. They want some more fun stuff in there because new big glass, just exciting places to live. And Northern Kentucky seems to have quite a bit of opportunity when it comes to that. So you're starting to see, plus there's all kinds of townhomes, condos, and new homes that have been built over the past 5 to 20 years that tend to be a little bit more modern and have a little bit more of that pizzazz that they're all looking for. In Northern Kentucky, you have a couple different neighborhoods that we really got to shout out. You have Newport, you have Covington, Dayton, Kentucky. You have all these little areas that are right there across the river that people really love. And they have their own hip little vibrant downtowns. You have Final Fridays in Dayton. You have so much action happening in some newer coffee shops and all kinds of fun stuff like Press over in Newport. It's a really cool vibe in Northern Kentucky. And I think because of that, and mixed with a little bit of privacy of the river views and some of these one-off communities, it really is a nice blend of everything. Moving on, we cannot forget about Anderson Township. Especially as of late, this seems to be like one of the most popular areas for athletes. It's got great schools, quiet streets. Several Bengals players live in prestigious communities over there. I'm not going to name it, although if you looked at the news recently, the national news, you probably can see some of that. It's a pretty special spot over there because you have certain communities that overlook the river. They have 1 plus to maybe 5 acre lots. There's conservation. It feels really private. Coldstream Country Club's over there, which is a highly attractive place to go. Easy access to I-275, easy access to get to downtown Cincinnati. Anderson seems to be very popular for professional athletes because it just blends quite a bit. It has almost a suburban feel with some larger acreage lots like I mentioned, but you're so close to downtown Cincinnati. You have views, which is rare in some of the other parts, meaning views of the river. And there's a lot of suburban sprawl and convenience that's there that helps, but still quite a bit of charm that lives there with some history. So you get a nice little blend and you can get some newer homes there or even some older homes that have a lot of that character that we're talking about. So you're seeing quite a bit of professional athletes, especially with the Bengals, that seem to be gravitating over that way. Very expensive place to live, especially in some of the communities that we're kind of alluding to, but it's a very, very, very sought after area when it comes to professional athletes. Last but not least, let's talk about where the luxury hits another level, Indian Hill. We're actually only sitting a few minutes away from Indian Hill, and we're talking sprawling estates with private drives, horse barns, indoor pools, tennis courts, and more. This is the stuff you see on MTV Cribs. Basically, if you need space for your entire football team for a barbecue, Indian Hill has you covered. This is enormous acreages. In fact, nothing can be really smaller than 1 acre, and you get up to 5, 10, 15 acres. It's quiet, super exclusive, and incredibly private. A lot of high-profile Cincinnatians live here. And fun fact, Oyler Hines actually recently sold Pete Rose's old house in Indian Hill, just literally in 2025. Pretty iconic, and if you're looking for a private pro-elite lifestyle, little estate spread, Indian Hill is definitely gonna be the spot for you. We can tell you dozens and dozens and dozens of professional athletes, coaches, anybody you name it that's lived in Indian Hill. And it's where probably the top of the top actually come to, and it's when you really wanna have maybe a little bit more privacy, a little bit more guard, compared to maybe some of those more hip urban city areas. So if you're a pro athlete in Cincinnati, you've got tons of options. We didn't mention half of the other options because not all of them live in those 5 neighborhoods. But maybe you want the buzz of downtown and Over-the-Rhine. where the stadiums and nightlife are right outside your door. Maybe you'd rather be up in Mount Adams where you get a quick little access to the city, but you still have those killer skyline views, a little bit more style, and quite a bit more privacy. But if family's your focus, maybe you're out in Anderson or Hyde Park or Indian Hill. It could be in many different areas. On the other hand, if you want a little bit more suburban vibe, you can always go out to Mason, Westchester, deliver huge homes, tons of space, family friendly. Athletes can go anywhere they want, right? These are just where we see that they tend to kind of congregate. They tend to go where their other friends go. They listen to them, right? They end up saying, okay, hey, where do you live? I like that idea. Let's go close, you know? They get close to each other because those are their teammates. They want to be close to those folks. And also, as you look at it, they may want convenience. They may want some ease, not just in commute. Maybe they want a fully furnished rental. That happens quite a bit. Maybe they just want an apartment to just lay their head because their family lives in a different city. That happens as well. So there's so many considerations. So it's hard carte blanche to say these are the only places where athletes live because they're just like you and I, right? Maybe not just like you and I. Very similar, right? In many ways. And they're just looking for the best situation for them. So whether that's privacy, maybe fun, entertainment, you name it, it doesn't matter. We have all sorts of options. But if you were a professional athlete, where would you live? You gotta tell us, you gotta drop it down in the comments. Let us know what you think. What do we miss? Because there's so many more to mention out here. Where would you live if you were a professional athlete? You can even name iconic properties. Have some fun down in the comments, do this. Don't drib us too much. We did not mention certain names because we really want to protect the anonymity of certain people that are still living in these communities. But if you are a professional athlete, or if you're just a guy like me and you're trying to find a house to buy, feel free to reach out to us. We're Oyler Hines of Coldwell Banker. We'd love to help you out. We've sold dozens of athletes' homes and hundreds of clients just like yourselves, houses over the years, and we'd love to help you out. And please, as usual, please like and subscribe down on our videos. We'd love to share more content with you. We have so much more rolling out and creating this. But if you have ideas on future videos, future information you'd love, do not hesitate to share it with us. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks as always, and we'll see you next time around.